Hard truth. Gervonta Davis scares Vasily Lomachenko. And Vasily Lomachenko does not want to fight him, nor did he want to fight him before. Or at least that's what the video evidence shows. And his behavior implies. As we do not get the fight that I was really wanting to see this year between Gervonta Davis and Vasily Lomachenko. Whole lot of fans out here making excuses for Vasily Lomachenko. And on this particular one, we not buying. Let's talk about that in this video.
Is there a guy that you would, that is that name with you? I mean, to me, it seems like Gervonta Davis.
А у вас есть? Мне кажется, да, Gervonta Davis для вас мог бы быть таким вот соперником.
So I always said I'm open for the fight, but boxing politics. We have different promoters.
One potential opponent is Gervonta Davis. He's a new champion at 130. Would you want to fight him next if it came up?
I don't know. For me, he is not interesting because for what? For what? Money?
Big money?
Do you want me to throw out the video?
No.
Now when I move up at 135, now he want to fight with me, and I read he won the fight only on pay-per-view. Hey, what are you talking about? You never has a main event. You fight only co-main event. What are you talking about? Какой это будет, как сказать, какой pay-per-view?
All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Vasily Lomachenko, the IBF 135-pound champion, has a manager that goes by the name of Egis Klimas, one of the most influential men in boxing, responsible for a lot of the big name Eastern European fighters that come to the United States and fight on television networks here. Vasily Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk, because I believe Egis Klimas is with Alexander Usyk too. I could be wrong about that. However, Vasily Lomachenko for sure. Egis Klimas came out and said, Vasily's not interested in fighting anybody or talking about fighting anybody this year. Training this year, you could offer him tens of millions of dollars. And that's not all it is about, man. He wants to spend time with his family and his children. You would think that there'd be plenty of time to do that when you're 36 years old, and because that's not very old, and you only got 2 more years left in your career. Hey, man, 40 is right around the corner, man. And with this $20 million, $30 million, whatever it is, you can wind up in U.S. too, not even Ukraine. You can go a long time. However, as it applies to Gervonta Davis, I don't think that time will ever come. Now, as you heard in the recording that I put up, where Vasily Lomachenko was very adamant that he ain't interested in fighting Gervonta Davis. That was a few years ago. That was back in 2018. Shortly after he said, hey, man, why weren't you interested in fighting me? Talking to Gervonta Davis when I was at 130 pounds. Now that I'm at 135, why are you talking about it all of a sudden? Well, look, man, that excuse may have flew back in 2018. It ain't gonna fly now because it's been 5 years. It's obvious why he wants to fight you. He wants to fight you because he wants to fight everybody. Now, there are people that are going to say that particular statement that I played for you at the beginning, shout out to Ellie Sethback, when that was in 2018, puts the blame on Gervonta as if Vasily Lomachenko would have fought him then. He's saying, no, I'm not fighting you. He's literally telling him he's not fighting him, not interested in fighting him. And plus, who are you? You've never been in a main event. You're not big enough name. So if you're not big enough name, if he wasn't a big enough name when he was talking about him then how was he going to talk about him before? How was he going to fight him before that? See? So when Vasily says, hey, when I was why didn't you want to fight me at 130? And he says in the same breath that, you've only been the main event one time. What are you talking about pay-per-view? He's saying in two things. One, that Gervonta didn't want to fight him, and that's why the fight didn't happen. At least he's implying it. But he's also saying at the same time that Gervonta's a nobody. So how do we know that you would have fought that nobody, Vasily? How do we know that? Because at that point in time, Vasily Lomachenko had been in bigger and more main event fights and had been promoted more than Gervonta Davis had, right? Because he won a title not at 130, but at 126. His name got big at 126, right after he fought Gary Russell Jr. So Vasily thought he was the big man at the time. And it was like, hey, man, little dude, you're not even really there yet. Man, what am I caring about you for? Right? So how do you know he would have fought him? It doesn't sound like he would have fought him. But now you have Gervonta being the man. You can't argue and say, hey, man, that the pay-per-view doesn't exist now. The pay-per-view exists now. He's been on multiple pay-per-views, successful pay-per-views now. So what's the difference now? I put forward that the difference is a major one. Number one, unlike 2018, when Vasily Lomachenko was in his prime, because what was that, 7 years ago? What, 2018, this is 2007, so it's 6 years ago? That's 30 years old for him, 22 and 30. That's advantage Lomachenko. What you don't want now is you want to be a champion. Vasily wants to be a champion at 36 years old, but not fight the 29-year-old. Who's at the same age now, roughly the same age now that Vasily Lomachenko was when they were both at 130 pounds. The issue is for Vasily Lomachenko is the high probability of a loss, man. Let's just be real. And not just the type of loss, it's the type of loss you can't work your way out of either. Because if that punch lands, he's going to be consistently worried about every shot coming at him. That's not the case with Tio. That's not the case with Devin. That's not the case with Kambosos. It's not the case with Jorge Linares, who did drop you. It isn't the case with Jose Pedraza or Nakatani or Jermaine Ortiz or any other or Luke Campbell or these other guys he fought at 135. I don't think that I've ever seen Lomachenko in the ring with a guy like Gervonta Davis that brings that dynamic to the table. And the size advantage is not there for Vasily. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Shane Mosley Manny Pacquiao talked about fighting bigger guys and moving up in weight classes and the advantage that Manny Pacquiao had against certain fighters at weight classes. And he said it was speed. He said, when you're fighting a bigger guy, you have the ability to move better. All of that, it works to your advantage to fight a bigger guy. But sometimes when you fight a smaller guy, that advantage is not there. So you have Gervonta and Vasily Lomachenko who are about the same size. Vasily may be a little bit taller, but now he's fighting somebody that is the same size as him, maybe a little bit smaller, who has a speed advantage, and the speed and footwork and agility advantage is no longer there anymore. Plus, you got that threat of getting your ass knocked out. But anyway, let's get rid of this narrative that Gervonta Davis never wanted to fight Vasily Lomachenko, that he was ducking Vasily Lomachenko, and that Vasily Lomachenko is in any hurry whatsoever to get to Gervonta Davis. Now, I'm going to tell you that it doesn't mean that the fight is not going to happen, because there is something that's called pride, and I don't believe that Vasily Lomachenko's scared, like, oh man, I'm like going to sleep nervous at night about getting hit, something like that, or maybe even getting knocked out. I'm sure that he knows, hey man, that shit can happen. So it may be that he changes his mind after the beginning of the year and he starts pushing forward, but not in a way that where Gervonta can afford to sit around and wait on him. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.